Hey everyone, if you don't know me, my name is Chris Connolly and I own the go-to residential painting company in Farmington, New Mexico that I run remotely from my home 3 hours away in Albuquerque. Today, I'm going to talk about how we maintain a mindset around objections that allows us to sell over $1 million worth of residential painting jobs per year by making sure that we sell 60% or more of our estimates. Now, in this video, I'm not going to outline scripts or word tracks around handling objections. This is to outline how you should view objections and how you should handle yourself before, during, and after receiving the objection throughout the sales process. Objections should not change how you go about the sales process. You're likely to get some objections along the way leading up to the estimate and during the estimate appointment. Some of the early objections you can expect to hear are, we're just starting to get estimates. So far, you're the first quote we're getting, but we're getting 3 quotes, or we always get 3 quotes. We're doing a lot of projects right now, so we won't be making a decision today, or we won't be deciding anything today. We have a really tight budget, so just give us your best price. Since mindset is so important in sales, your mindset and demeanor around these objections will matter. And since only a very small percentage of communication is actually received verbally, what you believe and how you carry yourself matters just as much, if not more, than what you actually say. When it comes to mindset, here's how we carry ourselves during the appointment. You'll get objections early on in the estimate appointment. That's normal and that's okay. Acknowledge the objection, but it's not a big deal. So just move forward. If you know they're going to book with us anyway, then you're more likely to treat them in a way that actually gets them to book with us. Believe it. Recognize that they're just avoiding making a decision because that's what people do. Understand they probably don't even realize their own wants or needs, and they may just need help aligning their goals. If they say that they want multiple estimates or that they want to think about it, we recognize that those are just things that people say because that's what they think they're supposed to say. They're just trying to avoid us putting pressure on them. But really, the truth is, the pressure is self-imposed by them. It's our job to help them fix their problem today. They've likely already put it off for quite a while. It doesn't help them to put it off any longer. So be there to actually help them. Wouldn't you want to work with someone who genuinely has your best interest in mind? When building rapport, make sure to take your time. Ask a lot of questions so you can understand their situation better than they do. Be authentic and real to who you actually are. People have a pretty good bullshit radar. Be easy to work with and talk to them as if they're someone you already know. If the prospect reminds you of your mom, talk to them the way that you would talk to your mom. Ask lots of questions, but don't talk too much. You should be more focused on listening so you can actually figure out what problem you're there to solve. Most of the time, people aren't actually aware of what their problems really are. They just think they need a quote. You can't help them overcome that belief if you're stuck believing it yourself. But we know that. We're there to help them solve a problem, not just to get a quote. And the real part of this is that sometimes that means that we turn people down or point them in another direction. If you're there to actually take care of people, what are the odds that 100% of your prospects really need your services? Most importantly, when you're building rapport, fucking relax, dude. If you're tense or nervous, they're going to pick up on that. The funny thing, though, is they can't read your mind. So they don't know why you're tense or nervous. But you know who else would be tense or nervous? Someone who's just there to make a sale. So when you aren't relaxed, they're picking up on that big percent of communication that isn't verbal, and they can see that you're not relaxed, and that's what you look like. You look like you're just there to make a sale. All right, on to pre-closing. When you're doing your pre-closes, be confident. Understand the benefits to pre-closing and how signing up today actually helps them. Hint at pre-closes early on so they can start thinking about them without pressure while you're going through the rest of the process, and take your time explaining it so they understand how it helps them. Don't be nervous. Don't overthink it. We know that them signing up today does help them. If they agree to move forward while all of these details are fresh in their mind and fresh in ours, it actually puts us in a good spot to take better care of them. Don't skip the pre-closes. We know that they're just going to object to it anyway, but do it anyway. Oh yeah, Chris, I appreciate that, but we won't be making a decision today. Or that sounds like a good deal, but we still have other estimates we want to get. Just acknowledge what they said and move forward. It's all good. No worries, John. If you don't want to move forward today, that's okay. But if you do, we can probably cut you a pretty good deal. So just something to think about. All right, let's move on to the back of the house. The point here is to get the gears turning with them so that when it comes time to make a decision, they've actually got more context and they've already been thinking about it. This helps it come across less gimmicky in the end because they knew it was coming. Okay, we can call this Q&A, discovery, whatever. They're both basically the same. When you're trying to build the need with the prospect, you need to understand their situation. And in order to do that, you need to ask a lot of questions. Make recommendations based on what they need, not based on what you give everyone. Have a conversation and actually consider their input when you're making those recommendations. Discuss a lot of different options, and most importantly, take your time. This is a good time to do things like digital color renderings or showing them photos of your past work that's actually relevant to what they're looking for. If you have color samples with you for a color that they're looking at, don't be afraid to put on samples. Give them actual value while you're there. Don't assume that you know what they want, what they need, or what their budget is. You don't. So you're there to find out. And to find out, again, you need to ask a bunch of questions. If you don't know what questions to ask, plan a project for your own home. What are the questions that you have? What are the specifics of your own project that you don't have answers to? Another great way to come up with questions is to take time for role playing. If you don't role play ahead of time, the appointment itself becomes the role play session, and you might find yourself stumped. All right, when doing the actual close, ask them to schedule with us. Be thorough in reviewing the quote and contract and take your time doing it. Speak slowly so that they can follow along. Present with the estimate facing them, not facing you or like this. You want it to be facing them. After all, this is their quote, not yours. Be authentic, be genuine, but actually be professional as well. And this should go without saying, but always, always, always present on the spot. As soon as you leave that home, they've already forgotten up to 50% of what you've said. Present while it's all fresh. Let them speak first when you're closing. This is their decision to make, and encourage them to make a decision, even if that decision is a no. Don't talk too much and don't feed them objections. You don't need to bring up objections that they said earlier. You don't need to talk about how long the quote is good for. Doing this today helps them, and we are in the business of helping people. That's what we do. All right, if you failed at closing on the spot, you're going to need to follow up. When doing your follow-ups, assume that they are interested. Even if they're difficult to reach, they're just busy. People who can afford our services are busy. They're not ignoring you. We've closed work after over a year of follow-up. Ask for their business during your follow-up, give them a call to action, and give them a reason to book now. If you assume that they aren't interested, why should they be? So just assume that they want to move forward, give them a reason to make that decision right now, and remove any barriers so they can be ready to go. By maintaining this mindset that I just outlined, you can transform your estimate appointments into successful sales conversations. Remember, it's about building trust and relationships. Focus on being helpful, informative, and professional. If you can actually care about them, provide a solution for them, not for you, and give actual value while being a real person instead of a salesperson, your closing rate will climb. Thanks for joining. If you found this video helpful, hit the subscribe button for more info on how to grow your painting business. If you know someone who's struggling with sales in their painting business, go ahead and hit the share button below, and you can actually link this video in a text message or an email. Catch you later.